Well, hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and welcome to a new year, 2022. However, you may have missed in 2021 or even 2020 this upcoming, incredible-looking, amazingly outstanding, and very hyped city builder / real-time strategy game known as Bannerlords. Now, we've covered Bannerlords before on the channel, and this game is really looking promising. There's been a few more tidbits or morsels that the developer has dropped on their Twitter and Instagram, but there's been nothing else that I've seen so far from this game officially, especially on their YouTube channels and whatnot, trailer-wise. So some of this you may have seen before, but I want to keep the hype and the excitement alive as we go into a new year to play a new city builder. This one does not yet have a release date, so it could possibly be late 2022, 2023, 2024, who knows? But the longer that this developer takes, the more polished and the more pristine this masterpiece is going to be. This game not only has city building, it doesn't only have like real beautiful looking total war-like battles, but it also has a diplomacy system of all sorts of things like, for example, trade and economy and weather that's going to affect your battles and also, of course, affect your trade too. Famine, disease, these are all things that will be put into play of maintaining your kingdom or your village that you're building as a lord. And of course, that will play into battles later on. Now, that's really ambitious, isn't it, to be able to fight different battles in different weather scenarios. There's also seasons in the game too, so things such as farming will be very important, crop rotation, those types of things. Now here, we're seeing some footage that I want you to excuse because this is taken directly from the developer's Instagram and Facebook pages and Twitter, so those resolutions that are in those videos on those platforms are not great by the slightest. Not even anywhere close to like 1080p, for example. But this is a great look at some really early cavalry combat too. And that's interesting. Cavalry could be very powerful, but very weak, considering the fact that weather could make a big factor in your battles. In other words, well, if it rains, maybe horses aren't as mobile, and a smaller force could easily overwhelm them. Who knows? But there's also a lot of infantry, or rather, large-scale unit formations in the game. Morale, flanking, fatigue, weather, and equipment will all come into play here, making it feel real when you play against the enemy. And of course, positioning your troops and being strategic is very important, as well as being strategic with how you lay out your village. Obviously, farming is going to be a massive trade, as things like flax can provide linen once it's refined, and you can make clothing out of that. And so it'll be interesting to see where you make your trade. Will it be into weapons? Will it be into perhaps breeding animals? Who knows? Really, the door is open here, and this game really reminds me a lot of Austria, of course, like more of a natural feel to a city builder where buildings are built, and as you can see here, this building burning down. Look at all these individual pieces falling down. Well, when a building is constructed, your villagers will lift those pieces up into place. They'll put down a foundation piece by piece, and the building that you've seen in some of the earlier sections of the trailer look incredible, to where a group of people will come over and each beam is raised into place, hammered into position. That's amazing. Really great attention to detail here. But of course, the attention to detail doesn't mean that it's going to be a perfect game. And with a small team, of course, I'm willing to give them a little bit of an out for anything that might not be polished at the start. But the fact that this hasn't entered early access yet and is really being polished before it even enters any sort of state like that is awesome. Here we see a little bit of a upgrade to a house where it goes from a thatch building to a more like a clay or kind of an upgraded stone structure. Beautiful weather effects, rain and lightning, and water all over those paths. That's incredible. Another thing to note is that fields have to be plowed by a team of oxen, and iron bloomed in a bloomery is the thing that, of course, will let you refine that iron. And sheep herded on open pastures governed by the Lord will be all sorts of things to make your kingdom powerful or whatnot. I've actually seen that other I don't know, scam artists or whatnot on Facebook have been trying to take footage from this game to the developer and what they've been doing to try to make some other mobile games out of this. So if you ever see anything like that, make sure you report it too, because this game is not out yet and is being made by a, I guess, a team called, or a company called, or whatever you want to call it, Slavic Magic. So that's really the only way to get official news and sources here. So keep that in mind. This game looking incredible because of its photogrammetry too. These are kind of handmade things that have sped up the development process of the game, and what's made things look so good, like the buildings, and hopefully also lowers the impact on the requirements for the game on each person's PC or whatnot. I'm also not sure if this game will be multiplayer. It may be a single-player only experience at the start, and it would be cool to build cities with friends in different instances where you can fight on an open field somewhere else. But I want this game to first be a masterpiece in single-player city building and, of course, real-time strategy too. And there's a lot of things not only put into the construction, but the destruction too. These are things that are being calculated in Houdini to allow the most detailed visuals, with it possible to be used with the chaos physics in the future. The prefactured structures and everything else are used in construction and destruction, so it's the same system to destroy things, and the buildings all look wonderful and unique too. So not a lot of things look kind of just generic building, generic building, generic building. They all look like intended structures for each thing, such as the charcoal kilns that you saw, or the marketplace, or of course the windmills too. Trading camps and things can be upgraded, and there'll be different types of sizes and different types of materials used to build all these different things, so it'll look beautiful. If you're interested, the game's being developed in the Unreal Engine 4, and that's utilizing a lot of Intel technology and optimization under the hood, and there's some more details on that. So the developer's not only just trying to dump a ton of graphics and a ton of gameplay elements, but they're also really trying to consider the gameplay, like the game playing on a PC and doing well. We're also seeing some more of the diplomacy features. A lot of this we may have seen before, but I want to keep that hype alive because I really want to see some new updates here, and I want those of you who may have not seen this game to really pay attention, because this is a game that feels like it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing where it seems too good to be true, and I don't think that'll be the case here, but there's so much good promise in just the trailers, and some beautiful screenshots and all these custom buildings designed, and all this attention to detail for, you know, people sitting at their workplace or standing or chopping wood. I mean, when Stronghold came out many years ago, my mind was blown that there was such a cool economic aspect to also a combat game. And there's been other games that have come close to simulating a wonderful city builder, such as Banished and Ostriv, but I must say that Manor Lords is going the extra distance to also include that combat, and that's just going to be an extra special thing, such as, you know, for example, kingdoms and castles, where building your empire is important, but defending it is as well. Now, I haven't really seen any sort of defensive structures in this game just yet, but I think the important thing is to first have all the economic buildings, all the government buildings, all the diplomacy and the combat, and how the workplaces will work. I want to see that way first, way earlier, before any sort of mega military structure. In fact, the biggest structure we've seen so far is pretty much the manor, which can be upgraded a few times, and also the churches that can be upgraded from more like smaller sized churches to up to cathedral-like. And so, of course, when you do your diplomacy, other things will matter in that, and that's going to be really interesting to see. It's not going to just be a trade, it's also going to come down to doing different types of favors and different types of quests, and of course, like going on somebody with a quest, for example, a campaign, a military campaign. If you support them, could benefit you military-wise. So that's very interesting. Now, if you're wondering, just to make it absolutely clear, this is a gridless, organic city building experience, and there's freedom to place stuff and rotate stuff however you like. But of course, things will snap a little bit, as you may have seen, to roadways, like for example laying out a field, where if you have a road that's kind of at a 45-degree angle, then a 90-degree angle, then a 25-degree angle, and you want to build a field within that kind of triangular space, you can do that up against a forest, for example. Man, the outfits and stuff look incredible in this game. There's attention to detail in the clothing, in the buildings, in the weather. It seems like this is multiple games in one. And not only does it feel like a real-time strategy game and a city builder put together, but it also seems like they've been seamlessly woven together. It doesn't seem like Game A and Game B. Obviously, well, there you go. You got different types of, Party Elite and Knights of Apollo and such there. The developer has dropped a lot of little hints to Raptori and all these other creators too. Everybody's excited for this one, and everybody knows what they want to see in a game like this. And it's very, very exciting to see all the different aspects of city building and combat put together. The customization of your troops, and I want to see the customization of buildings too. And it seems like you might be able to do that with some of the upgrades that can be put to buildings, and that's very promising. Of course, that weather system, will that make buildings a little bit more prone to maybe needing repairs, which means that if you have more of a wet climate, does that mean all the constant rain makes people more sick, or will the cold destroy buildings when the spring comes and things expand and contract and different cracks form, and you have to craft maybe a builder or a repair shop? I wonder what other types of buildings will be implemented here. Will we see like things, for example, in addition to maybe not only just farming buildings, but will we see maybe a herbalist? Will we see brewing? What kinds of things will we see next? That's what I'm excited for, is really the next step forward. What other buildings will be confirmed in this one, which then confirms other industries. Will we see herb gardens? Will we see honey making? Will there be trade on the water? These are the types of things that it's like at this point, if the developer has developed all these types of technology and all these trailers to show it in practical use rather than just screenshots, then the sky is the limit. Literally. Like, what other things can they build up into the sky? How big can the buildings be? Will we be able to build custom castles? I have so many questions that are secretly requests, but of course we can only wait, and we can only hope for Manor Lords to eventually have a release date. Hopefully maybe an early access demo. I know there's also been some people getting access to this one as well to test it out, and that's just really promising. Of course, voice acting for all the units, and there's just so much that's already here. It's incredible that this game wasn't just released, and that's just awesome because there's only so many more things that can be added. I mean, seriously, there's a lot more that can be added, and I want to see it. I want to see much more in terms of, like I mentioned, shipbuilding and perhaps a campaign, and not only just a, kind of a traditional, maybe like a skirmish mode where, you build like a city and you expand that city and you invade your neighbors, that type of thing, kind of more of a free play mode but with rules. But also maybe a story-based game where, of course, there's a king, maybe he's dying on a throne, that type of thing, and there's a bunch of fights over who's going to be king, that type of thing. Maybe there'll be other scenarios, but anyway, we can only wait, we can only hope, and I hope to hear more soon from Manor Lords. Organic city building, historical realism, large-scale battles, motion capture used for all those troops and people in the city, photogrammetry, and a beautiful simulation. Well, guys, make sure you subscribe and smash like on this video if you want to see more of Manor Lords. I'll try to share anything else that I find. I wanted to go into this year with some awesome hype for this game and many more, and I hope to see you all again soon. Goodbye, take care, and I'll see you next time.